To Garcia, off the deflection, Los Fresnos comes back and wins. Santa Maria will put up a three. Bang! Santa Maria!
Here's Warner, here comes the head of the jam, counted for two. Field, adios, and the Falcons win on a walk-off. And it's saved. What a game. What's this? Smack.
Left, that is gone!
Lob for Perez, that's my play. Off the backboard, counted, and a win!
And a win! Ryan Perez wins the game for the Santa Rosa Warriors, and they go nuts!
Good afternoon. Welcome to Luke Fruia Motors on a Wednesday afternoon. We're talking sports. Kevin Rauer here. We are at Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas on a Wednesday afternoon. Getting set to talk more high school football. Week 3 is already here, and Week 2 has come and gone in the books. And can you believe it's Week 3 already? The season's going by pretty quick, in my opinion. We got a loaded show for you this afternoon. We're going to be joined by Harlingen South head coach Israel Gonzalez, Brownsville Hanna head coach Mark Guest, and then we're going to be joined by Prince, one of the sales reps, later today in the show, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But thanks for joining us here on a Wednesday afternoon. Just to recap the scores and what happened in what was a wild Week 2 throughout the RGV. Thursday scores: Edinburgh Vela 30, Harlingen 3, Brownsville Veterans 45, Brownsville Porter 14, Rio Grande City 34, Laredo LBJ 20, PSJ North 35, EdCal Chelsea 0, Westlaco 23, Mission 20. Those were the Thursday night scores. Going into Friday night scores, we had an overtime game of McAllen Memorial beating Mac High 35-28, Harlingen South 64, Sherryland Pioneer 0, Brownsville Rivera 26, Edinburgh High 24. Donna North snapping their 30-game skid. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. They beat La Jolla Juarez Lincoln 38-14. Lyford 45, La Villa 26, Mercedes 24, Edinburgh North 14, Roma 40, Edinburgh Economides 28, Orange Grove edging Hidalgo 36-35, Port Isabel all over Valley View 30-7, Brownsville St. Joe 38, Santa Rosa 14, Brownsville Pace 34, Brownsville Lopez 7. Over at Southwest, PSJ beat the Javelinas 34-3. Raymondville 16, Gruya 13. San Benito 51, Mission Veterans nothing. McAllen Row 43, Palmview 20. Westlaco East 24, Donna nothing. And then Saturday's game, of course, Coach Guest is here. Brownsville Hanna rallied to win 37-26 against Sherryland. So what are some things that stood out? Leave a comment. For me personally, what stood out was going back to Thursday, that Harlingen Edinburgh Vela game. Many said that it was going to be a one-possession game. You know, myself, John, Brandon made some, did some talking before the game. We talked with Coach Selber. We all felt that was a one-possession game. Flip a coin, that's who we felt would win. Vela, Harlingen, it was kind of back and forth. No one saw that coming. And it wound up being a blowout, 30-3, Edinburgh Vela. But the thing that was coming out of that football game was that Edinburgh Vela's defense. They're for real. Talking with different coaches the next day, that night, that Vela's defense is extremely fast. They don't have the biggest size, but Jake Duffner, who's just a junior this year, he's coming off the edge, wears the number 99. He didn't play last year because of COVID, but coming into this year as a junior, he was able to, get back on the field and make some plays. PJ Rivera at the running back position. He's just as dangerous as anybody in the RGV, and just coaches across the board were just really impressed with what Edinburgh Vela did. Also, Ted Galvan, who also plays running back. So there's plenty of weapons for Edinburgh Vela, and Chase Campbell was as good as advertised. The Hanna comeback, we're gonna go more into depth about that with Coach Gesser when he joins us. Brownsville Hanna trailed 20-0 early on. They got a touchdown to Ethan Pena right before the half, last play of the half. They were able to get on the board. That was the momentum they needed. They were able to overcome an early pick six, a fumble. They were able to clean up some things. And then again, we'll talk more about that when Coach Guest comes on. And those last 3 minutes were about as crazy as they get. Donna North, they snapped a 30-game losing streak, and the first time they won a football game since October 13th, 2017. So let that sink in for just a minute. Donna North was able to pick up a win against La Jolla Juarez Lincoln, snapping a 30-game losing streak. So shout out to Coach Juan Cuevas and his coaching staff for snapping that losing streak. Anything else that stood out, through the first 2 weeks of the season is right now we know who the definitive number one team in the Valley. In my opinion, that's Edinburgh Vela. And then you have Mercedes right behind them, who picked up another win this past week against Edinburgh North. Mercedes has already played Hanna and Edinburgh North, two teams, both in 6A. So that's just my opinion. That right now we're looking at You have Edinburgh Vela, you have Mercedes, one in 5A, one in 6A, and those two teams right now are the clear-cut 1 and 2. 3, 4, 5, you can throw in a couple of teams in the mix in 31 6A, 32 6A, but it's still kind of a middle of the pack. You have Mission, who came off a loss against Westlaco. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. Harlingen can still be in the mix. San Benito, who not a lot of people are talking about, they completely dominated Mission Veterans at home. With the things they're doing offensively, that's over in 32 6A. And then Harlingen South. Harlingen South is really starting to turn some heads with Coach Gonzalez and what they're doing there. So, again, we're going to talk with Coach Gonzalez up next, and then later in the show we'll talk with Coach Mark Guest. But what's to come up on the broadcast schedule for what's up next on Real Sports Live on a Thursday night? Tomorrow night we have Juarez Lincoln at Edinburgh High, Valley View at Mission Veterans, that game being played at Richard Thompson Stadium. Over at Sherryland, Odom at Santa Gertrudis, Monte Alto at Marine Military Academy. Those are the Thursday night games. Friday, it'll be Brownsville Pace at Brownsville Porter, Edinburgh Economides at Edinburgh North, Harlingen South at Alice, Peachtree Memorial at Mercedes, Raymondville at Lyford, the Cotton Bowl. Then up in the Coastal Bend, we have Corpus Christi Veterans taking on Corpus Christi King, Bishop taking on HM King. Back down here in the valley, we have Ed Cal Chelsea at Sherryland, La Villa at Santa Rosa was the Sugar Bowl, and then Laredo United at Harlingen. And those are the games on our broadcast schedule for Thursday and Friday. So be sure to stop by here, Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas. Up next, on the other side of the break, we're going to be joined by Coach Israel Gonzalez of the Harlingen South Hawks. And we have our, what's a tumbler? These Luke Fruia tumblers here that we're going to be giving out. So our trivia question today is, who is the last team to reach the 4th round of the high school playoffs? So the winner will receive, I think that's what it is, a tumbler, right? So it says Luke Fruia Motors on it. Leave a comment, let us know. Again, our trivia question, who is the last team to reach the 4th round of the playoffs in the RGV? On the other side of the break, Coach Israel Gonzalez will be joining us.
Triunfes. Aplica hoy para empezar. Es tu momento.
The Brownsville Independent School District continues to provide a safe environment for enriching education. From pre-K3 to early college high school, the award-winning district has advanced its legacy in curriculum, athletics, and fine arts. Teachers are driving the frontier of technology, bringing industry to the classroom. On and off the field, Brownsville ISD students engage in the experiences that make them college and career ready. Brownsville Independent School District, the best choice.
And he throws it down. Oh! See you later, touchdown.
And Luke Fruia Motors, we're moving forward. Same great service, same great people, same great cars and trucks, and these great white letters. Our vision is crystal clear. Luke Fruia Motors, we're on the move.
We're the Lady Cougars, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Here at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, we are a family. We support each other through thick and thin. We work together, grow together, excel together. We inspire each other to become the great minds of the future. We are here to ensure you succeed. Apply today to get started. This is your time.
It down.
Welcome back to Brownsville, Texas at Luke Fruia Motors. Deep South Texas on a Wednesday afternoon, getting ready to get week 3 underway, joined by Harlingen South head coach Israel Gonzalez. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Coach,
it.
week 3 is already here. It goes by quick, huh?
Yeah, it seems like it was just yesterday that we were getting ready in summer and having our strength and conditioning with our hour of skills, and then before you know it, man, we're a couple weeks away from heading into district play, so it's definitely gone by quick.
Week 2 in the books. I know you guys laser focused on what y'all are working on Friday night with your game against Pioneer, but when you get home and when you have a chance to just step back and maybe look at some scores, what stood out to you this past week?
You know, I was glad our kids went out and executed. I thought we played a good game in our Week 1 game against Brownsville veterans. But, you know, as a head coach, you always find something to make sure that you can correct, and I felt that we got a little sloppy in the second half. So going into Week 2 against Pioneer, we wanted to make sure that we could play a complete game, and you know that was our focus for the week, and talking about finishing and how to finish a football game, not just starting a football game. So I think we did a good job of that, and you know credit goes to the kids. They were focused and locked in, and so was the coaching staff, and you know I think it ended up turning out you know even a little better than we thought it would early on. You know obviously Pioneer is a very well coached team. Coach Galindo does a great job over there. In his first year, he's well deserving of that position over there, and you know obviously they were also down one of their big playmakers that didn't play due to injury. So I think all those kind of things kind of led into that score.
Right. You know, early on in that football game, you guys come right out, get a couple scores. You know, we talked a little bit about on Friday after the game that was more of the tone setter. Let's go a little bit more in depth with that and just how aggressive you guys came out.
You know, I think the kids, like I said, they were focused. They knew that they could play at a high level, and I think they're starting to gain a little bit of confidence in the coaching staff and the preparation that we do week to week and day by day in practice. So I think they're confident in what the game plan is week to week and early on, and I think that they went out there and they played fast, and usually great things happen when you can play fast.
Defensively, you guys also forced a couple of turnovers. I think the only miscue in that first half was you guys, I believe you punted on that opening drive. Pioneer was going right down the field. You guys come up with an INT, and then after that interception, it was all Harlingen South from there on out.
Yeah, well, I think the defense did a great job. You know, Coach Jaime, our defensive coordinator, and the defensive staff puts a great plan together. You know, they came up with a big stop and that turnover, and I think our kids, you know, took the opportunity, and that's what you got to do. You got to capitalize on the opportunities that you're given, and they were able to do that, and I think the ball started rolling there, and they just gained momentum and kept doing what they were coached to do. And
you weren't kidding. You said that you were going to use different kids in multiple positions. This is something that we normally see in small schools, but Coach, now we're starting to see a little bit more. I know Sharyland had they have a couple players that go two ways. I know the Gonzalez brothers do that. About Levi Entz, we saw him line up at tight end on Friday, and when I saw that, I was like, he wasn't choking. He is lining up a linebacker.
I'll tell you what, man. You know, coaching football for 16 years now, you know, you coach at different levels. Being able to coach at Harlingen High School for 10 years, and you know, having a tremendous amount of talent and athletes there, and then going to Lyford and seeing the difference of a 6A to a 3A, but yet still having a tremendous amount of talent that you can have, and just having to utilize it differently, having to put the best 11 in, and having to really learn how to coach again as far as it comes to depth and rotation of kids, and how many kids can give you certain amount of minutes to spot play for these guys that need to be on the field both ways. I think that really played an advantage for me coming back to Harlingen and coming back home and getting the Harlingen South job. You know, they are a smaller 6A school, and numbers aren't real high, but there's a tremendous amount of talent there and a tremendous amount of athletes, and I think it's a coach's job to be able to put those kids in a position to be successful. So we were able to do that. You know, you got multiple guys that can do that. We do it limitedly. We do it to the best of our abilities. At the same time, we try to do it the smart way to make sure that kids are out there and competing at a high level, and not just out there and you know, being super gassed and not able to perform their duties on the field. But you know, there's several of them. You know, you can talk about Levi doing it. You can talk about you know, Jeremiah Rivera, and we got some more stuff up our sleeve of guys that have been practicing both ways. But you know, when the time comes and when it's needed, you'll probably see it on Friday night.
Alexander, to me, he just looked like he was in complete control of the huddle. And that's one thing that you want to look for in a senior quarterback and someone who's been in the system. As far as him grasping a new system with you now there and Coach Gaitan implementing a new offense, how has he adapted to the change?
You know, Xander's been 100% bought in since the day I showed up. You know, he's a great kid. Knew he was a great athlete prior to coming in. Great leader. You know, kids rally around him. He's a kid that's always on time, the kid that's always there early, the kid that's going to do the extra work. And when he came in and we taught him the offense slowly, he adapted to it very quick. You know, he's a baseball guy. So, you know, in baseball, I know you're a big baseball guy, you know, you don't have time to make a whole bunch of It's time to make a whole bunch of decisions. So he makes split decision reads. He does a really good job of it. We try to simplify it to where he has 1 to 2 reads and doesn't have to read the progression of the whole field. And we're able to do that because he's such a good athlete with his feet that it's always a weapon. And I've been blessed, or everywhere I've been at, we have athletic quarterbacks that, when they're that dual threat, that makes it a whole lot easier to do.
You got a short memory, too. It's a good thing about baseball players. They got a short memory. Taking a step back and, looking at the scoreboard from across the RGV, what stood out to you as far as, maybe other scores that you saw that, hey, that score stood out or that score stood out?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, man. I check out who's in my district and who's doing well, and going to have Coach Guess on, and they played a heck of a game this last week and showed some true tenacity and came out and made some big plays and won against a good team in Sherryland. So I took notice of that. I took notice of San Benito scoring 50 points. That was a big eye opener. And what Coach Dan Gomez does over there. So, I watch. I'm a fan of football, so we obviously look at all the scores, but we pay attention to who's in our district and who's performing well, and sooner or later you're going to match up with those guys. So,
right. Coach Cuevas over at Donna North.
Yeah, great.
Snapped a 30-game losing streak.
Man, extremely happy for Coach Cuevas and that program and moving in the right direction. Coaching's a big brotherhood and a camaraderie, and when you see your guys be successful, you're happy for them.
Coach, as far as we're 2 weeks into the season, a couple months into the season, as far as when you consider the strength and conditioning and the two-a-days, you're implementing a new system. We've talked about the X's and O's, but where do you feel you guys are at as a program? Do you feel where you are where you need to be as far as week 2?
That's a tough question. Are we where we need to be? No. I think any football coach is going to tell you there's always something to work on. I am happy with the progress of where our program's at. I think we're having a mentality shift, and for us coming in as a new staff, bringing in 7 new coaches, we knew that one thing that we wanted to change was the mentality of what had been happening there in the previous years. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy that the kids are buying into that. As far as where we are as a program, my vision of our program is to be a successful program and consistent. So we're some time away from that. We're trying to lay the foundation for that, and I think we're on the right track to do that. At the same time, I don't know if I can answer that question correctly until 4 to 5 years from now. So.
Yep. Moving on, talking about Alice, your next opponent upcoming in week 3. Just talk about how you guys drew Alice and how that came to be on your schedule.
That was already on the schedule when I got back, when I got to Harlingen South and saw it and automatically circled that game. Alice is consistent, successful football program. Coach Atwell does a great job watching the film. They're a very talented group. They're got talent and speed. They got good size. They're extremely coached very well. So, it's going to be a challenge for us. I think it's probably going to be the best challenge that we've had so far. And I think it's a perfect timing, man. God's got a way of working things out. And, we've built some confidence this last 2 weeks. And I think it's time to go take a test and then have a week to recover and get ready for district.
What are some things that you can share that maybe Alice might present to you guys as far as the schemes?
Well, they're going to be very physical. They got 2 DTs inside. They're going to run a 4-3 concept. And a 4-3 concept is a great concept. But to me, in my mind, you got to have the guys to be able to run that. And Alice definitely does. They got 2 great outside linebacker 8 techs that can squeeze into the box and help make that a 7-man box. And they also got the wheels to be able to get outside and stop your outside flat and outside flats and hook to curl area. So they're coached really well. Their secondary's got a lot of speed offensively. Their quarterback is a tremendous athlete. He's great in open space, and he can make plays with his legs when things break down. Got some playmakers on the outside, and they've had some tough games, but they've played some really, really tough competition in Corpus Christi vets, and then last week in Victoria East with just a tremendous amount of speed on the football field, and those are 2 good programs, and I think they're going to be hungry. So we got to make sure that we're ready to go and that we're prepared going into Friday night.
This is the last game of the non-district portion of your schedule. Then you have a bye week. Then you go into district play. Do you coaches see this as kind of like a final tune-up? Maybe it's a fine-tune some things to get ready for district?
There's 3 phases to every season. There's the preseason, there's our regular season, our district season, then our playoffs. So it's the final leg of the first season. So it's important to us most of all to come out healthy. Getting that bye week coming up is extremely important for that as well. But it's also, like I said, I think it's a great test against a really good football team to kind of be a measuring stick of where we're at, because 32-6A is a meat grinder. So.
Right. Last thing we're going to talk about, Coach, is the Atlas Ball. I thought that was really interesting when you called me over Friday, and I would have known if you would have told me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you did. Just talk to us about the Atlas Ball and then where it comes from and just everything that it stands for.
So, Coach Monty Woodall, I got to coach Coach Monty Woodall for 14 years, was a tremendous role model, more than just a coworker, became a great dear friend of mine and somebody that I relied on and took the journey with me to Lyford, and was extremely excited to come back to Harlingen and take over the program at South. I think he was one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the region, and when he passed away, it was obviously a tremendous blow to us as a staff. But the kids really embraced Coach Woodall at Harlingen South, and it came from the kids. We were cleaning out his house, and he had some strongman Atlas balls, and the kids had asked for something that they could hang or use or take to games in remembrance of him. So us as a coaching staff thought that those Atlas balls represented Coach Woodall and the strength program, so we got it painted, put some stickers on there, and now the kids touch it on the way out to the field, and the greatest thing is it come from them. So they wanted to do that, and we were happy to be able to do it for them.
Coach Israel Gonzalez here joining us from Harlingen South. They are 2-0, looking to go 3-0 on the road. Our plan is to be up there
Awesome.
to cover you guys Friday night when you guys take on the Alice Coyotes. Coach, before you go, anybody you want to send a shout-out to?
Well, first off, to Real Sports Live, man, for always coming out and supporting Valley football and Valley athletics. Y'all do a tremendous job, so we're extremely grateful for you guys giving the limelight to our athletes. Second of all, to my wife and my family and everybody back at home. Love you guys. Can't wait to see y'all. Thank you for your support. And to Hawk Nation, no fear, all faith, Hawks up.
That's Coach Israel Gonzalez of the Harlingen South Hawks. Joining us next on the other side of the break, it's going to be head coach Mark Guess of Brownsville Hanna. We're going to talk about that comeback Saturday. One of the crazier 3 minutes, and the last 3 minutes we'll see in a game. So on the other side of the break, Coach Guess will be joining us. You're watching Real Sports Live.
I love what I do. I really
love what
do.
I'm doing. I love children.
One of the most important things to do is to love your students.
Imagine teachers like these helping your child prepare to change the world. Take a closer look at Mission CISD.
We're the Harlingen South Lady Hawks, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Hawks up!
Service is attitude. How far are we willing to go to service our community, our dealership here at Fruia, and you? Sky's the limit.
We're the Red Texans, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Josh Moody and Coach Jorge Gonzalez of Josh Moody Loans are former Harlingen Cardinals and would like to wish all the teams good luck in tonight's games.
At HCISD, we embrace the future.
We learn to communicate.
At HCISD, we put our best foot forward.
At HCISD, we
Make noise!
At HCISD, we learn that the smallest of moments can make the deepest impressions.
At HCISD, we are creating the future together.
We are Santa Rosa, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Forever Memories Antiques and Collectibles, located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, is filled with vintage items, collectibles, and a selection of vinyl records that's as good as it gets. Every shelf, every aisle, and table is filled daily by a number of vendors that ensures that something here just might be the item you have to have. The vinyl record area helps bring an added atmosphere that makes for the fun trip when stepping back in time with the memories. Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles in San Benito.
We are Eddie Burgella, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Sherryland ISD, a nationally recognized district focusing on quality and rigorous instruction where every child is immersed in a culture of academic success. A district dedicated to preparing our youth for the future. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower all students to reach their full potential and become leaders of the highest moral character. Sherryland ISD, excellence is our tradition.
All right, welcome back to Real Sports Live, coming to you live from Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas. This is a tumbler, right, Coach? Or what do you call these things?
A water flask.
A flask. That's the word I was.
Something like that.
A flask. That's what I was trying to get at. But it's a Luke Fruia. We'll call it a flask. I'll go with Coach Guest here. If you answer our trivia question, who was the last team to reach the 4th round of the playoffs, you can win this flask. I was saying tumbler. I think tumblers are now out of date. I think.
There you go.
Although I do remember at one point in time, tumblers were like the hottest thing.
Everything is cyclical.
We're joined by Brownsville Hanna head coach Mark Guest. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Coach, first off, welcome to the show, and let's go back to Friday night. You guys played on Saturday. I'm sure you guys had a walkthrough practice Friday. Kind of odd to be sitting back on a Friday night and kind of just watching the games from your home.
Yeah, thank goodness we have the Real Sports Live and other ways of media that show the games through the live stream. So we're able to watch whichever games we want to see. And we like to go to the actual stadium so we get an eye on the kids, know their size and all those things. But this week we decided to do it from the house, and we got to see some good football.
Anything that stood out to you in week one? Like you heard Coach Gonzalez saying that he likes to keep an eye on his district. Any scores stick out to you?
Well, of course, they've done a great job over there. They put some points up on the board these last 2 weeks and played some good, solid defense. So, we're also keeping an eye on those guys. 32-6A is a buzzsaw, so we know every week's going to be tough, and that's just the way it is. So we try to get a tough non-district schedule in order to be able to prepare, the best we can for those 32-6A games, and we think we do a pretty good job of it year in, year out, and this year is no different. So.
Yeah, your non-district schedule, you're right. It had Mercedes week 1, Sherryland week 2, a bye-in week 3. Then you guys hit the road to play Corpus Christi Miller, a team who went, I believe, 4 deep last year. But before we get into that, let's talk about Saturday. Saturday's contest. You and I were there talking Saturday morning that the point behind that was to get these kids acclimated with the hot weather, playing on a Saturday morning, because at some point in time you guys will be, playing in a playoff game in that type of weather. So is that just exactly what you guys envisioned? Is that what you guys pictured for Saturday morning?
When we set up the schedule, we do things purposefully, and certainly that's one of the thoughts is, everybody starts their season with the belief that they're going to win a district championship and make a playoff run, and we're no different. That's the expectation every year for our kids now, and we just want to keep that expectation high. So we plan to play one in the early afternoon or in the morning, late morning, because you get around Thanksgiving time, and that's when you see those games being played. So we don't want it to be foreign to us. So we certainly like to do those things, and we also like to travel. A little more than 2 hours, try to get another trip in, just to make sure we're used to a bus ride should we need to take one at some point.
And, we're all creatures of habit, and I'm sure it was different for the boys to say, we're not playing on a Friday night, you got to go to bed early Friday, get ready for a Saturday morning. Just how much does that change with the routine of the players?
Well, it changes quite a bit, but, we're not strangers to working at that time. So, all summer long, when we had our 1 hour football session, that was between 11 and 12 o'clock because we had a 2 hour strength and conditioning session before that. They're used to the heat. During our athletic period, it's a third period, so we're out there at the same time. And we get on the turf. It's hot, but they're used to it. We prepare ourselves for it. We stress nutrition. We stress hydration, and definitely rest, and getting their bodies recovered. After every day, and certainly after games. We just try to get them ready, and that time I felt it kind of gave us an advantage also. Since we are used to it, and we just want to, do everything we can to get better.
So going into the X's and O's on Saturday, you guys fall behind 20-0. That touchdown before the half, that was about one of the wilder touchdowns we've seen. Josh fumbled it, picked it up, found Ethan, and He kept both feet in. I'm sure you guys saw the film. So when I was on the call, I was like, that counts in the that counts in the NFL. That was a heck of a catch. He just kept both feet in. But just walk us through that last drive. And I felt, Coach, that throughout that first half, your defense, once they fell behind 20-0, you guys made a couple of key stops. They kept your offense in the game, and I felt you guys put a couple of drives together, and I think that last drive was the one that you're like, that's the one we were looking for.
Yeah, it's kind of tough sometimes defensively, especially the first game. We got a little frustrated that we had to keep going back out on the field and not get much rest. And this, the first quarter against Sherryland, their first score, we blew coverage. Our best defensive player blows coverage, and it's high school football, and those things happen. So all we do is try to minimize those things. So we gave them a gift there, and then they took advantage of it. They jump up 7-0, and then we give them a pick six, and that's one of those things in football that's just inexcusable.
Right.
So we give them the pick six. After the pick six, then we eventually fumbled, give them the ball back again because we were ineffective after we were driving the ball a little bit. And before you know it, they get a good little scamper up the sideline for 44 yards and get it in to go up 20-0. But, changed a little bit the quarterback situation, put the other kid in, and Mark Macha got in there, and he did a good job moving the ball. We just kind of stalled out there in the red zone. So then eventually, we make the change again. Josh gets in, and, we get a pretty good little stop right before the half, and then he gets us down there to the red zone. And of course, luck is involved in plays like that. Of course, with no time on the clock, the ball bounces just right back into his hands. He happens to be running the wrong way to throw a pass like that, and he got his shoulders back around the opposite direction, made the throw just to the right spot where only Ethan could catch it, and Ethan had both feet in, and here we go, touchdown. It's going to be a game now.
Yep. And then in the second half, again, that defense only allowing 6 points. For me, that kicker, my goodness, from Sherryland, that kid's got a boot, and he's a junior. Yeah. Well,
and I tell you what, I've only seen one other kicker that's got that kind of leg, and he played for Vela that night, beat us in the 2017 first round. He kicked a 56-yarder to knock us out that year, and that kid had a leg. This guy, he may have a bigger leg than that.
Yeah.
Not only the field goals, the 52-yarder, and then whatever the other one was short compared to that.
Yeah.
And then of course his punts were excellent, and not to mention his kickoff after the safety and then getting a penalty from the 15-yard line to boom that thing all the way to the 9 was incredible.
For those that aren't football junkies, people are just kind of, the kicker, the punter, just throw anyone out there. But not sidetracking here, but just how important is special teams?
Well, guys like that flip the field for you. And we were thinking we were going to get a short field there after that safety, and that way we would have a much better shot of getting a score in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be darned if our best football guy makes another decision in the game that kind of it almost killed us.
Right.
But it did cost us field position, obviously. But eventually we recover from it and get a score.
So when you guys, I wasn't anticipating a safety towards the end. I was like, whoa, and the punter just lost track of where he was at. Either way, I felt that if they'd have punted that ball and gotten away, I knew it was game on. But I officially knew it was game on when they got those 2 points, and then now it was a 3-point game. So those last 4 minutes, Coach, were as crazy as you've seen in some time?
Yeah, I mean, it was
a lot.
It was kind of nuts there for a minute, but no, I mean, we get caught up sometimes in the game, but there the focus was just all over the place. I mean, we were all on it. We were just trying to just keep our focus. Keep the kids. It's late in the fourth at that time. I think finally we were starting to feel some of the heat at that point late in the fourth. But the kids, they just dug deep and made sure they wanted to win that game, and they did a good job of finishing it off.
Yeah, you guys get the safety, and then, of course, that mishap on special teams with Anthony that we talked about. I believe you guys started at your own 9, at your 10. Before your offense went onto the field, did you give them any kind of specific message?
Yeah, I told them we need to have a long drive, control the clock, and get a touchdown.
Right.
Of course, we want that all the time, but at the end of the game, when you're up 3 like that, it's very important to try to maintain that. Just to try to get it get it going and eat that clock up. You know, we went from an up-tempo offense several years ago to more of a slow-tempo offense where we're trying to eat up the clock, limit the possessions of the opponent, and make sure that we take advantage of every possession that we get. But, you know, it's high school football, man. There's so many variables and so many different things, but I wouldn't do anything else, that's for sure.
Well, with the variables, when you consider that, when you guys went on that, when you guys got the football, went on that last drive, I know obviously you want to score a touchdown, but was there at any point in the back of your mind saying, okay, if a touchdown, we can't get it, we can still get in field goal range? Was that on the table for you all, or was it just score a touchdown at all costs?
No. We wanted to get that lead just because their playmaker ability was too big. They had some good kids, man. I know in the third quarter, I believe it was towards the end of the third quarter, their quarterback on a sack had to exit the game. And, you know, that kid was a heck of a quarterback. I got tired of watching him on film.
Yeah.
But at the same time, their backup was no slouch either. That kid had some legs and he had an arm. So all they had to do was have any belief, and, you know, they could have scored just as quick as they did the first touchdown. So, you know, we wanted to make sure that we took away any doubt that any big play or anything like that could hurt us in the end.
Chris Benya is a junior. The numbers he put up on Saturday, you know, it turned some heads. You know, it got some pretty good attention. But I said he's a little big man of the RGV. He runs as hard as anybody, and if you understand, that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
You know, he's the little big man of the RGV, only a junior. We saw this last year. Obviously, you know, I'm no stranger to him. He's your boy. Just how hard does that kid work, and just for his size and for him to be able to do the things he does at the running back position?
Well, you know, Chris has always been a hard worker. You know, going from his freshman year into his sophomore year, that spring is when we actually got shut down from COVID. But before that, up until spring break, he'd been working his butt off in the weight room and in track, just trying to get faster, trying to get stronger. We didn't even think that he wasn't even on our radar as being a varsity player that coming into that spring. But then we show up in the summer, you know, then we get COVID. We have to shut down for the summer after a week. So going in, we had no idea who our running back was going to be.
Right.
So at some point, you know, this kid gets a shot to run against us on scout team, and I told him, dude, you ain't very big, but you better run hard. And he just started running, and he ain't stopped since. I mean, that boy runs hard. And that's how he ended up winning the starting spot his first game as a sophomore. Now, we only got four game season plus one game in the playoffs, so he didn't get to really get in a good groove. But at the same time, you know, he didn't do a bad job last year for his first full season at the varsity level, being 5 games, and this year he started off with a bang.
And of course, that 83-yard touchdown that just capped off. Not capped off. That was the exclamation, or go ahead. Anthony's was the capper, the cherry on top. But that 83-yard run, it was almost Marshawn Lynch-like, that one touchdown runner he had where he shook off one tackle, made another, and I don't know how he did it, but tight-roping that sideline, it looked as if they were going to get him at about midfield and then again at the 20, and he just kept his balance. What did you say to him after that touchdown? If you can share it.
That was a heck of a run, son. You know, there's a lot of excitement going on in the game at that point. And I think most other people, I'm worried about, you know, the extra point, and everybody else is worried about going and giving that boy a high five, which he very much deserved. But it was a great run, you know, an 83-yard run, especially when you're 5'5" or however tall he is, which isn't very tall. And he's got great vision. He had some good blockers out in front of him too. You know, German Wu and Santos Avalos and John David Avila, and then of course Meatball Damian Garza, and several others. You know, there's a couple other guys that rotate at the other spot, but those guys, man, they block their tails off for that kid. And you know, he's small, so he's probably pretty hard to see, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But he never takes a direct shot. You know, he never had any ball control issues until, you know, these last 2 games, but he's constantly working on that and going to make sure that kind of stops.
And of course, the icing on the cake, and it's what makes sports beautiful, you know, is that you have a short memory, you always have a chance to make up for your mistakes. Anthony Ambriz showed that he had that blunder, you know, on that kick return, but then he redeemed himself and had that pick 6. I just thought that was poetic for the way the game was going and the way it just ended. I thought that was the exclamation point.
You know, Breezy, we call him Breezy. He gives such great effort every play, every down, every play. In practice, you know, nobody on the offense really wants to see him on the field because they know that they got the potential for getting popped. But it's always going to be clean. But at the same time, he brings some pop to him. But for him to get that, yeah, I mean, he had two big blunders, you know, that could have cost us huge. One of them did cost us points, the other one didn't, but fortunately it didn't. But, you know, it was 2 seasons ago, the season before COVID, where his sophomore year, where he gets a 99-yard pick six against Sherryland over at their place. Mm-hmm. And that really helped us win that ball game too. So for him to repeat that after those 2 mistakes, you know, yeah, it was poetic for him. I think his words were he got to hammer the nail, you know, and that was awesome for him. That's certainly true.
Definitely. That was one of the crazier games I've covered at Sam's, and you and I have seen a lot of games at Sam's. Coach, moving forward and talking about the bye week, you guys are heading into the bye week. Part 1 of a 2-question, what does a bye week entail for coaches and players all in the program?
Well, the first thing is healing, you know, and then 2, I believe, is preparation for district. You know, our schedule's kind of funky this year where we have our bye week before we finish non-district play. So it just happened to be that way. So we're getting ready to, you know, we're preparing for South, but we're also preparing for Miller. We're healing up as best we can. Mm-hmm. It's active rest, but we're certainly getting out on the field and getting a lot of good things done, back to fundamentals, working on the little things, just trying to perfect, finding some kids for new spots. I mean, mm-hmm. At this point, you know, we have several positions that are still open, so we're still trying to find, you know, some of those spots and nail those down. But the biggest thing is just, you know, just staying on top of things, not letting any momentum stop, and getting as healthy as we possibly can before the district season begins.
Part 2 of the question is, you mentioned that it's strange where it's your bye is in the non-district portion of the season. As a coach, ideally, well, for myself, I know if I were a coach, I would like to have that bye week more of a week 7, week 6 towards the back end to where you can kind of heal up if you're a little hurt. Just my opinion. But for you, you know, if you could pick any time for a bye week, where would you rather have it in the middle of the season? Because I know early, you have it early, and then you guys got to grind out, 9 weeks more or less straight without a bye week?
Me personally, I wish we didn't even have a bye week, but obviously we have to have one.
Don't need a bye week, see?
But obviously we have to have one. Well,
right.
sometimes kids can get lazy, and even coaches can get lazy during bye week, thinking that it's off week, and that's the biggest opponent during a bye week is yourself. So
right.
you've got to make sure that you stay on top of things and make sure that you keep everybody focused and making sure that we don't lose any type of momentum that we have going into
right.
it.
Definitely. Moving on, Coach, talking about your Corpus Christi origins, you'll be having a homecoming of sorts. Yeah. Not this week, but next week when you go to Buck Stadium to play Corpus Christi Miller. So you and I were talking a little bit about your West Oso ties. So for those that don't know, just tell us about your Corpus Christi background and where you're from.
Well, my background there is 17 years, my first 17 years of coaching. We're at West Oso High School, actually. It was a great learning experience. It was a great place to learn how to coach. The people there are just absolutely great people. Some of the best kids in the state, you know, to coach. I couldn't have found a better place to start my career. I started out got my first defense coordinator job was there. Then I became the head coach there for 9 years, and we had some good success there. When I was there and with Coach Sandahar, and then after he had left and I ended up taking over the reins, and we had some more success, but it was just such a fun place and a great place to coach.
So you're from the Corpus area?
Not originally.
Not originally.
Originally from East Texas.
East Texas, what part?
Longview.
Longview?
Yes.
Okay. What high school did you go to, up in Longview or?
Well, actually, I went to Bryan High School. My dad had an oil field type job, so we moved around in the oil business. And my 7th grade year, we moved from Longview to Bryan. And then I lived in Bryan through my junior year. And then my senior year, we got transferred back to East Texas up into Mount Pleasant, which is where I went to high school my senior year and graduated from.
My dad's from Bryan. I did not know that, yeah. He
Yes.
went to Bryan High, too, the Vikings.
Yes, I was a Viking.
Small world.
Yes.
So you're going to be going back home. Bittersweet for you to go back to the Coastal Bend?
Oh, anytime we get a chance to play up there, it's awesome. Great people. Hopefully, I get to see some of my former players, and who knows? I think I may have a former player's kid that plays for Miller.
Okay.
So I'm going to see some people I know, and it's always great to see those people because there were such great friendships and such great people.
So, Coach, Mark Guest joining us here from Brownsville, Hanna. Before we wrap up, Coach, just looking out at 32-6A, and it's somewhere the calm before the storm. You guys have one more match against Miller, and then it's all gas, no brakes with 32-6A. I feel that this year, like every year, it's going to be ultra competitive. San Benito's turning some heads with what they've been doing. You mentioned Harlingen South. Harlingen's always going to be in the mix. You guys, heck, unfortunately, guys, because of COVID, didn't get a chance to play for that district title. But what was it, the East and West last year? You guys won the East, Harlingen won the West. That weird 2020 season. But just how motivated are you guys to go back out in a 32-6A and say, hey, we're back. Last year was no fluke, despite it being a weird season for everybody. Just how motivated are you guys?
Well, our kids are proud kids, and they want to defend it. So they're gonna work as hard as they can to try to defend that thing. And that's still the goal. It doesn't matter who we lost or who we have back. The goal remains the same. It's fight for that gold ball and as many as we can after that. 32-6A is tough. I think, between all the games that have been played in the first 2 weeks, there's only 3 losses. And when you look at who those 3 losses were to, those teams are not slouches, So we're looking forward to some really, really good football here in the next 7-8 weeks as this district unfolds, and we're just going to do the best we can as the Hanna Golden Eagles to put a great team out there.
Coach, before you go, any shout-outs? Anybody you want to thank before you go?
Well, certainly my offensive and defensive coordinators, Damian Vela, my offensive coordinator, Jose Ramirez, my defensive coordinator, and then certainly the whole varsity staff and the whole high school staff. They put in a lot of time with these kids and summertime and off time, and the kids really appreciate it. But we love those kids, and we'll do anything for them. And of course, the last one is of course my wife, Mary. Boy, she's a great coach's wife, and I couldn't have the success I have without having a coach's wife like her.
Definitely. Coach Mark Guest from the Brownsville Hanna Eagles joining us here this afternoon on a Wednesday. Coach, thanks for joining us. On the other side of the break, we're going to wrap things up. You're watching Real Sports Live.
Real Sports Live.
Uniforms, etc., you're going to find the opportunity to purchase the best high-quality scrubs. Soon after I learned about how the EDC was helping out the community, and so I did meet with Ms. Castillo. She made it very easy, very friendly, and she walked me every step of the way. I couldn't have done it without their help.
Come visit our new store in downtown Harlingen. We have furniture, appliances, clothes, collectibles, and more. All funds collected support the Sunny Glen Children's Home. Come see us at Vintage on Jackson at First and Jackson in Harlingen.
I love what I do. I really
love what
do.
I'm doing. I love children. One of the most important things to do is to love your students.
Imagine teachers like these helping your child prepare to change the world. Take a closer look at Mission CISD.
This game is brought to you in part by the Concession Stand in Santa Rosa, a locally owned business providing a terrific atmosphere before or after the games and supporting athletes of all ages. When you're in Santa Rosa, be sure to stop by the Concession Stand and choose from the wide assortment of goodies. An advertising partner with Real Sports Live is the Concession Stand. Music lovers, you have to stop and see the assortment of records, tapes, and records memorabilia at Forever Memories today. Located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, Texas, there's over 10,000 records on display and more coming every day. Looking for your favorite album from the past, first pressings, collectibles? How about a 45 with a single you just have to have? Freddie Fender, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Elvis, Beatles, blues, rock, classics, Tejano, it's all here. Organized and priced for you. Forever Memories, 237 North Sam Houston, San Benito.
We are La Villa, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Whether you're visiting or vacationing at South Padre Island, be sure to book your place to stay with Island Services. Locally owned for over 40 years. Trusted, reliable for condo and beach house rentals. Call and visit the website today. Island Services.
We are the Harlingen Cardinals, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Hi, I'm Rodo Rodriguez, and I'm a partner with New York Life Insurance Company. For 170 years, New York Life has built a reputation for building some of the finest agents in the industry. I help to manage that process from day one. If you're looking to challenge yourself and build an insurance and financial service business, then I would like to show you how I can help.
We are those Fresno Lady Falcons, and this is Real Sports Live.
Aquí, en la Universidad de Texas A&M Kingsville, somos una familia. Nosotros nos apoyamos. Trabajamos juntos. Crecemos juntos. Triunfamos juntos. Nos inspiramos los unos a los otros para convertirnos en las grandes mentes del futuro. Estamos aquí para asegurarnos que tú triunfes. Aplica hoy para empezar. Es tu momento.
The Brownsville Independent School District continues to provide a safe environment for enriching education. From pre-K3 to early college high school, the award-winning district has advanced its legacy in curriculum, athletics, and fine arts. Teachers are driving the frontier of technology, bringing industry to the classroom. On and off the field, Brownsville ISD students engage in the experiences that make them college and career ready. Brownsville Independent School District, the best choice.
And he throws it down. Hey! See you later, touchdown.
And Luke Fruia Motors, we're moving forward. Same great service, same great people, same great cars and trucks, and these great white letters. Our vision is crystal clear. Luke Fruia Motors, we're on the move.
We're the Lady Cougars, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Here at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, we are a family. We support each other through thick and thin. We work together, grow together, excel together. We inspire each other to become the great minds of the future. We are here to ensure you succeed. Apply today to get started. This is your time.
It down.
All right, welcome back to Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas. We're joined by George Medina. Here you go, a.k.a. Prince. We'll talk more about that Prince nickname here in just a bit. But Prince, what are some things that people need to know about Luke Fruia Motors, or what kind of deals that you guys have going on here?
Right. So first of all, thank you guys for having me here. So first things first, obviously with the lack of new inventory that we've had, General Motors has come out with the real good promotions as far as certified pre-owned. Now, what are certified pre-owned? What that means is that if they're over a 2017 or newer and with the minimum of 75,000 miles less, you qualify for a 1-year, 12,000 bumper-to-bumper warranty. Additional, a 6-year, up to 100,000 miles of powertrain, motor, and transmission. Now, right now we have a special 1.9 interest rate for 36 months on Buick Encores and on GMC Terrains. Now, of course, within the qualifications of the certified. And we have 2.9 interest at 72 months for CPO Cadillacs, any Cadillac Escalades, XT5s, XT6, CT4, CT5s, as long as they fall within the certified pre-owned.
Anything else that you guys have going on, or anything else you want to promote here at Luke Fruia?
Right, of course. Obviously, our best thing we have is our customer service. You know, whether it's 3 in the morning, 2 p.m. at night, 6 in the morning, you ever have an issue with your vehicle, give us a call. When it's a certified vehicle, you have 24-hour towing assistance anywhere in the nation with the $0 deductible.
Sounds good. We're joined by George Medina, a.k.a. Prince. So you are from Los Fresnos. You said you're a graduate there of 2016?
That's correct.
You played soccer and you played football there. We'll start with the soccer side of things. You're a soccer buff? You play soccer there at Los Fresnos?
Oh, yeah, soccer. I've been playing soccer since I was 4 years old. Started off in Mexico, came here, started in Los Fresnos, and, ever since I've been a soccer lover.
What was that like playing did you guys go on any playoff runs or anything like that?
Well, yeah, actually, my sophomore year, we went to as far as the third round of the playoffs before losing to Lopez, which, as everyone knows in soccer, Lopez is a powerhouse. At the time when they were back in the 6A, I think now they're in the 5A, right?
They're in 5A.
Right, yeah. So it was impossible to get out of Brownsville, bro. It was more easier to go to San Antonio than to get out of Brownsville. So that's how it was.
Yeah, and a lot of people are starting to realize that just how tough soccer is in Brownsville. It's the real deal, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We at least have one team from Brownsville make it up to state every year. Right. Porter, Rivera, as you can tell, they won state a few years ago. So, it's a powerhouse here in Brownsville.
Definitely. You mentioned you also played kicker for Coach Finley.
Yeah, senior year, basically the way it works is basically every soccer player, when they play football, we play kicker. You know what I mean? So it was a fun experience. Football, obviously, different culture, but it was amazing. Pep rallies, the fans, having the stadiums up, Friday Night Lights. Even though I wouldn't do much, but it was a great experience to be part of, especially in Los Fresnos, which is a very big football powerhouse.
Right, and that time, 2016, Coach Finley, Clint Finley was still here. Mark Mata, you mentioned, was still here. A lot of those bigger names. What was it like playing at Leo Aguilar Memorial Stadium? Because I know in the middle of that decade, y'all were in 32 6A, but that year I think BVM was a part of the district, Brownsville Veterans.
Yeah, right. So. Yeah, Veterans, Lopez, they were still part of the district.
Rivera was going 3 deep. Harlingen was Harlingen, San Benito. So just how fun was it playing in that? We had 2 coaches in 32 6A on our show earlier. So just how fun was it playing at that specific time in 32 6A?
Oh, at the time it was amazing. Every game that we would play, remind you, we were in a hard district where we had 3 teams that actually tied for first, if I remember. Yep. It was Cardinals, Los Fresnos, and I think San Benito. Yeah. So every game that we would have, more than half of the games, it was an amazing experience. Fans were always trash talking. It was just it was a great year to be part of. Obviously, we lost in the first round against West Laco, but I mean, it was, like I said, it was the best experience probably that I've had.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So your name is George, but they call you Prince. How did that name come to be?
So when I first started selling cars here at Luke Fruia, which was back in 2018, I would wear a purple suit. It was my first day. I was excited. I wanted to look flashy. So I don't know if you heard Prince, Purple Rain back in the day. So that's basically how my nickname stuck. And, a few years later, everyone doesn't even know my name. They're like, I want Prince. I want Prince. I want Prince. And, yeah, I just owned up to it.
Perfect. Yeah, not a bad guy to be named after.
Yeah.
Again, George Medina, a.k.a. Prince. Before you go, any shout-outs you want to give, or, again, any final plugs you guys want to give to the dealership here in Brownsville?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to Miss Felicia Fruia, who's watching me right there. One of the best owners ever that I've been experienced of. All my employees, my coworkers, Mr. Tony Lopez. She's my best friend as well, guys. She's my best friend. As for Felicia, you get a good little discount here. Of course, the staff, the service, everything here at Luke Fruia Motors. I mean, I own everything I have. I own it to them.
Thanks. George Medina here, a.k.a. Prince of Luke Fruia Motors. On the other side of the break, we're going to wrap things up. You're watching Real Sports Live.
I love what I do. I
really love what I'm doing. I love children. One of the most important things to do is to love your students.
Imagine teachers like these helping your child prepare to change the world. Take a closer look at Mission CISD.
We're the Harlingen South Lady Hawks, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Awesome!
Welcome back to Real Sports Live. Wrapping up our Wednesday show here at Luke Fruia Motors. Again, be sure to follow us on our social media sites at Real Sports Live on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just to run down our schedule, what's to come. Tomorrow night, La Jolla Juarez Lincoln is at Edinburgh High. Valley View at Mission Veterans, that game being played at Richard Thompson Stadium. Odom at Santa Gertrudis. Monte Alto at Marine Military Academy. All the kickoffs set for 7 o'clock. Those are Thursday's games. Rolling into Friday, Brownsville Pace at Brownsville Porter, just down the road here at Sam's. Edinburgh Economides taking on Edinburgh North. 31-6A kicks off their district play. Harlingen South at Alice. PSJ Memorial at Mercedes. Raymondville at Lyford in the Cotton Bowl. CC Veterans taking on CC King. That game going on at Buck. Bishop at HM King. Ed Calchelsa at Sherryland. La Villa at Santa Rosa in the Sugar Bowl. And Loreto United at Harlingen. And that wraps up our Week 3 coverage schedule for Texas high school football. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. A shout-out to Coach Mark Guest from Brownsville, Hanna. Shout-out to Coach Israel Gonzalez from Harlingen South. Shout-out to Prince and everyone here at Luke Fruia Motors for always having us here on Wednesdays. Join us next week, Wednesday at 2, as we'll see who our guests will be. We'll see what happens in Week 3. On behalf of myself, Kevin Naro, Joe Bowling, Rudy Zamaripa Jr., saying so long for now.